Captain Minho stood at the observation window of the transport ship, watching the massive station grow larger against the stars. He had seen many impressive things in his 20 years of military service, but nothing prepared him for this. The Galactic Council station was enormous, bigger than Earth's moon. It gleamed silver and gold under the light of the Vega star, covered in thousands of lights and docking ports. "It's beautiful," Dr. Hana said beside him. She was holding her translation device tightly, her knuckles white. "And terrifying," Minho nodded. Beautiful and terrifying. That described their entire situation perfectly. 3 months ago, humanity had finally achieved faster-than-light travel. Everyone on Earth celebrated. They thought they were alone in the universe, and suddenly the stars were open to them. They sent out their first exploration ships, excited and hopeful. Then the aliens found them. The Galactic Council made contact immediately. At first it seemed wonderful. There were 47 different alien species in the galaxy, and they all worked together in peace. They offered trade, knowledge, and friendship. Earth's government was thrilled. Ambassador Yuna led the diplomatic team to meet them, but the friendship had conditions. "Docking in 5 minutes," the pilot announced. Minho straightened his uniform. Beside him, Yuna checked her appearance in a mirror. She looked calm, but Minho knew her well enough to see the fear in her eyes. "Whatever they want, we'll handle it," Minho said quietly. "Earth didn't send us because we panic easily." Yuna smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I hope you're right." The ship docked with a soft thud. The airlock opened and a wave of strange smells hit them. Alien air, alien technology, alien life. 2 guards waited for them. They were tall, covered in blue scales, with 4 arms and eyes that glowed yellow. Minho had seen pictures of the Kryn species, but seeing them in person was different. "Follow," one guard said in perfect English. The translation technology was impressive. They walked through corridors that seemed to stretch forever. Other aliens passed them, some flying, some crawling, some walking on legs Minho couldn't count. None of them looked at the humans. They were just another species here, nothing special. The council chamber was a massive dome filled with platforms at different heights. 47 platforms, 1 for each species. In the center was a raised stage where Minho and his team were directed to stand. Lights focused on them, and suddenly they felt very small. "Humans of Earth!" A voice boomed through the chamber. It came from the highest platform, where a creature that looked like a giant insect sat on a throne. "I am High Counselor Vrath. Welcome to the Galactic Council." "Thank you," Yuna said, her voice steady. "We are honored to be here." "You should be," Vrath said. The translator made his voice sound cold and emotionless. "Very few species survive long enough to stand where you stand now." Minho felt Hana tense beside him. That wasn't a friendly comment. "The galaxy operates on order," Vrath continued. "For 12,000 years, the Council has maintained peace among the stars. We have rules that all species must follow. We're eager to learn these rules," Yuna said carefully. "Good. Then let me explain the galactic order." Vrath gestured, and a hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a map of the galaxy with thousands of marked systems. "Every species that joins galactic civilization must contribute to its maintenance. We call this the tribute system." "Tribute?" Minho asked before he could stop himself. "Yes. Each species provides resources, technology, and military forces to the Council. In return, we provide protection and trade rights." Vrath's insect eyes seemed to focus directly on Minho. "It is not negotiable. It is how civilization survives." The hologram changed, showing footage of beautiful planets. Then the footage showed those same planets burning, destroyed, turned to ash and glass. "These species refuse to pay tribute," Vrath said calmly. "They believed they could stand alone. They were wrong," Hana gasped. Minho felt his stomach turn cold. Those weren't just planets. Those were billions of lives, entire civilizations wiped out. "You're saying we must give you whatever you demand or you'll destroy us." Yuna's voice was still calm, but Minho heard the steel beneath it. "We prefer to think of it as joining civilization," another counselor said. This one looked like a floating jellyfish with glowing tentacles. "The tribute is reasonable. 20% of your annual resources, technology sharing every 5 years, and a military contribution of 10,000 soldiers. 10,000 soldiers? Minho repeated. To do what? To maintain order, of course. To protect the Council's interests. To serve the galaxy. You mean to serve you, Minho said flatly. The chamber went silent. Every alien eye from every different kind of species turned to look at him. Yuna touched his arm in warning, but Minho didn't back down. "Captain Minho," Vrath said slowly, "you are new to galactic society. Perhaps you do not understand. The tribute is not punishment. It is the price of survival. Without the Council, there would be war, chaos, extinction, or freedom," Minho said quietly. Vrath's insect mandibles clicked together in what might have been laughter. "Freedom. How quaint. Tell me, Captain, how long do you think your species would survive without our protection? There are dangers in this galaxy beyond your imagination." "Then let us face them ourselves," Minho said. "Enough," Yuna said sharply, stepping forward. "High Counselor, we understand this is how you've operated for thousands of years. But humanity needs time to consider such a significant decision." "We've only just reached the stars?" "Of course," Vrath said. "We are not unreasonable. You have 30 days to provide your answer." "And our options are?" Yuna asked. "3 options," Vrath said. The hologram changed again, showing 3 different scenarios. Option 1. You agree immediately and join as a tributary state. Option 2. You require a demonstration of our power first and then you agree. Option 3. You refuse and we demonstrate our power permanently. The third option showed Earth burning like those other planets. "There is no fourth option," Vrath added. "These are the only paths before you." Minho wanted to argue, to fight, to do something. But he was one man on an alien station surrounded by 47 species, each more advanced than humanity. What could he do? "We'll return to Earth with your message," Yuna said. Her voice was tight. "And we'll provide our answer in 30 days. "Excellent," Vrath said. "We look forward to welcoming humanity to galactic civilization, or to adding your planet to our historical records of failed species. The choice is yours." The meeting ended. Guards escorted them back to their ship. Nobody spoke during the long walk. When they were finally alone in their ship heading back toward Earth, Yuna sat down heavily. "They're going to destroy us," Hana whispered. "If we refuse, they'll kill everyone on Earth. And if we agree, we become slaves," Minho said. "Slaves who mine resources for them, give them our technology and send our soldiers to die for their empire." "What choice do we have?" Yuna asked. She looked older suddenly, tired. "They have thousands of ships. They've ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. We've had space travel for 3 months. Minho looked out the window at the stars streaming past. Somewhere out there was Earth, humanity's home, full of people who had no idea what was coming. People who thought the future was bright and full of promise. "We'll find a choice," Minho said quietly. "We're humans. Finding ways to survive impossible situations is what we do best." But as their ship jumped into faster-than-light travel, leaving the Council station behind, even Minho wasn't sure he believed his own words. For the first time in his life, he didn't know how humanity would survive what was coming. The countdown had begun. 30 days until Earth had to answer. 30 days to decide if humanity would kneel or die. The emergency meeting room deep beneath Geneva was packed with people. President Jisoo sat at the head of the table, her face calm but her eyes showing the weight of the decision ahead. Around her sat the leaders of Earth's united government, military commanders, scientists, and the diplomatic team that had just returned from the Council station. Director Seojin of the Earth Defense Force stood at the front, presenting what everyone already knew but didn't want to face. On the massive screen behind him were numbers and images that painted a grim picture. "This is their fleet," Seojin said, pointing to surveillance images. "We've counted at least 5,000 warships in various systems. Each one is larger than our biggest carrier. Their weapons technology is approximately 300 years ahead of ours." "And our fleet?" President Jisoo asked, though she already knew the answer. 214 ships, Madam President. Most of them are exploration vessels we've retrofitted with weapons. We have maybe 40 true warships." Seojin paused. "If we fought them conventionally, we'd lose in less than a day." Silence filled the room. Admiral Tae Yang, commander of the Seoul Defense Fleet, looked like he wanted to punch something. He was a fighter, always had been, but even he couldn't argue with mathematics. "So we submit," said one of the council members, a woman named Isul who represented the Asian coalition. "We pay their tribute and hope they leave us alone." "Do they ever leave anyone alone?" Minho asked. He was standing near the back, technically just an observer, but nobody stopped him when he spoke. "We saw the footage. 47 species, all paying tribute. How many of them wanted this? How many chose slavery over death? It's not slavery, another counselor argued. It's cooperation. It's how galactic civilization works. 20% of everything we produce, Una said quietly. Every year, forever, plus our technology, plus 10,000 of our soldiers to fight in their wars. She looked around the table. My daughter is 18. Would you send her to die for the Galactic Council? For aliens who threatened to burn our planet if we didn't obey? More silence. People looked away, uncomfortable. There has to be another way, Seojun said. I've been running simulations. Guerrilla tactics, defensive positions, scorched Earth protocols. All of which end with Earth destroyed, Admiral Taeyang interrupted. I've run the same simulations, Director. We can make them bleed, but we can't make them stop. Then what do you suggest? Seojun demanded. I suggest we buy time, Taeyang said. We agree to their terms. We pay the tribute. We send the soldiers, and we use that time to build, to learn, to catch up technologically. In 50 years, maybe 100, we might be strong enough to what? Miho cut in. To rebel? After we've already given them the best of our resources and our people? After we've taught our children that kneeling is acceptable? He shook his head. If we start down that path, we'll never leave it. Our grandchildren will be paying tribute too, and their grandchildren after that. President Jisoo raised her hand for silence. Everyone stopped talking immediately. She had been listening, absorbing, thinking. Now she looked at the scientist in the corner who hadn't spoken yet. Dr. Suji, the president said, you've been very quiet. What have you found? Suji stood up slowly. She was young for a chief physicist, only 32, but brilliant. She had been studying every piece of data they had on Council technology since the diplomatic team returned. Something strange, Suji said. Their technology is advanced, yes, far beyond ours in raw power, but it's old. Very old. Old how? Seojun asked, leaning forward. I've analyzed the scans we took of their ships and stations. The core technology dates back thousands of years. They've made improvements, refinements, but the fundamental designs haven't changed. Suji brought up new images on the screen. Look at this power core. It's incredibly efficient, but it's based on principles we already understand. They're just better at implementing them. What are you saying? President Jisoo asked. I'm saying they've stopped innovating, Suji said. Think about it. They've had peace for 12,000 years. They rule the galaxy. Why would they improve? Why would they invent? They take tribute from younger species, including their technology, but they don't seem to develop their own anymore. A spark of interest flashed across Seojun's face. They're stagnant. Exactly, Suji said. And we're not. Humanity went from basic computers to quantum processors in 70 years. From chemical rockets to FTL drives in 3 centuries. We improve exponentially because we have to. We compete, we struggle, we innovate or die. But they're still more powerful than us, Isol pointed out. Even with old technology. Right now, yes, Suji agreed. But the gap isn't as wide as they think. And it's closing every day we continue to develop while they don't. Admiral Taeyang stood up suddenly. Are you suggesting we fight them? I'm suggesting, Suji said carefully, that we might not lose as badly as we think, especially if we don't fight the way they expect. Seojun was nodding now, his mind clearly racing. Asymmetric warfare. We don't match them ship for ship. We use our advantages, our adaptability, our innovation, our unpredictability. It's still a massive risk, Una said. If we're wrong, Earth burns. If we submit, Earth dies slowly, Minho said. Just in a different way. President Jisoo stood up and everyone fell silent again. She walked to the window that showed a view of the surface above, the Swiss mountains, green and beautiful under blue sky. Earth. Home to 8 billion humans who were counting on this room to make the right choice. I've been thinking about a story, President Jisoo said quietly, from old Earth history. The Spartans at Thermopylae. The Mongols told them to surrender. The Spartans sent back a one-word answer. Do you know what it was? No, several people said. Molon and the president said. It means come and take them. They were outnumbered 1,000 to 1. They knew they would die, but they refused to kneel. And they all died, Isol pointed out. They did. President Jisoo agreed. But their sacrifice bought time for Greece to prepare. And Greece survived. The Mongols didn't conquer them. She turned to face the room. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't winning. It's refusing to surrender even when surrender seems logical. So we fight, Seojin said. It wasn't a question. Not exactly, President Jisoo said. A small smile crossed her face. Dr. Suji, you said we need to be unpredictable, that we need to use asymmetric warfare. What's the most unpredictable thing we could do right now? Suji thought for a moment, then her eyes widened. We could say no. Exactly, the president said. Not we need time or let's negotiate or please don't hurt us, just no. They'll attack, Admiral Taeyang said. The moment we refuse, they'll send their fleet. Yes, Seojun said slowly, understanding dawning on his face. But they'll expect us to run, to hide, to beg. They won't expect us to have a plan. They've dealt with scared species for thousands of years. When has anyone ever just said no and then stood their ground? It's insane, Isol said. We're risking everything on surprising them? We're risking everything anyway, Yuna said quietly. At least this way we die free. And maybe, just maybe, we don't die at all. President Jisoo looked around the room. I need a consensus. All in favor of submitting to the council's demands? 3 hands went up out of 20 people. All in favor of refusing? 17 hands rose. Slowly, certainly, defiantly. Then it's decided, President Jisoo said. We craft our response. One word, simple, clear, undeniable. And then? Admiral Taeyang asked. Then we show them what happens when you threaten humanity, Seojun said grimly. We show them that evolution isn't just biology. It's culture. It's determination. It's the refusal to accept that the future is already written. Suji was already pulling up designs on her tablet. I'll need every scientist we have. Every engineer. We have 30 days to develop weapons they've never seen before. You'll have them, President Jisoo promised. Whatever you need. Minho felt something stirring in his chest. Hope, maybe. Or maybe just the same stubbornness that had kept humanity alive through ice ages and wars and plagues. They were outmatched. They were probably going to die. But they were going to die on their feet fighting, refusing to kneel. I'll deliver the message, Minho said. When the time comes. I'll go back to that station and tell them our answer. They might kill you, Yuna said softly. Probably, Minho agreed. But someone has to say it to their faces. Someone has to look at their empire and spit in its eye. President Jisoo nodded. Then we have our plan. Suji, start your research. Sojun, prepare our defenses. Taeyang, ready the fleet. Minho, prepare to deliver our message. She paused, looking at each of them. In 30 days, the galaxy learns what humanity is made of. Let's make sure they never forget. The meeting ended. People scattered to their tasks, energized despite the fear. Earth had made its choice. In 30 days, they would send their answer to the Galactic Council. One word that would change everything. No. The 30 days passed too quickly. Minho stood on the bridge of Earth's fastest courier ship, watching the Galactic Council station grow larger once again. This time felt different. Last time he had come here curious and hopeful. This time he knew exactly what kind of empire he was facing. All channels are broadcasting, the communications officer said. The whole galaxy is watching. That was intentional. Earth had requested an open session. Every species in the council, every tributary state, every civilization that bowed to the council's rule, they would all see this moment. Good, Minho said quietly. Dr. Hana stood beside him, calmer than last time. She knew what was coming. Are you scared? She asked. Terrified, Minho admitted. But I'm also angry. They threatened my home. They threatened everyone I love. Fear and anger together make for interesting courage. The ship docked. The same Kryn guards met them, but this time they weren't alone. 20 more guards surrounded Minho and Hana as they walked through the corridors. Apparently, the council was taking no chances. The council chamber was packed. Every platform held representatives from all 47 species. But there were also viewing screens everywhere, showing that this session was being broadcast across thousands of worlds. Billions of aliens were watching. Minho and Hana walked to the center platform. The lights focused on them, harsh and revealing. High Counselor Vrath looked down from his throne, his insect eyes unreadable. Humans of Earth, Vrath began. 30 days have passed. You were given a simple choice. Join galactic civilization as a tributary state, or face the consequences of your refusal. What is your answer? Minho took a deep breath. This was it, the moment everything changed. We have a message from President Jisoo of the United Earth Government, Minho said. His voice was steady, amplified across the chamber and across space to countless watching aliens. Then deliver it, Vrath commanded. Minho activated a hologram projector. President Jisu's image appeared life-sized in the center of the chamber. She stood in front of Earth's flag, wearing her formal suit, her expression calm and certain. The chamber went completely silent. Every eye in the galaxy seemed focused on this one moment. President Jisu looked directly at the camera, directly at the council, directly at an empire that had ruled for 12,000 years. And she spoke one word. No. The silence stretched for 5 full seconds. Then the chamber erupted. Aliens shouted in dozens of languages. The translation devices could barely keep up. Shock, disbelief, confusion, silence. Vrath's voice boomed and the chamber quieted. The High Counselor's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation in his species. Did you just refuse? Yes, Minho said simply. We refuse your tribute. We refuse your empire. We refuse to surrender our freedom. You refuse to join civilization itself, another counselor said, the jellyfish-like creature. You choose extinction over cooperation? We choose freedom over slavery, Minho replied. There's a difference. Vrath stood up from his throne. He was massive, towering over the chamber. You are children playing with adult concepts. You have had space travel for months. We have ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. You think you can defy us? We don't think, Hana said, speaking for the first time. We know. Explain yourself, Vrath demanded. Gladly, Minho said. We've spent the last 30 days studying you. Your technology, your empire, your history. And we've learned something interesting. He gestured and new holograms appeared. Images of council ships, stations, and technology through the centuries. This is a council warship from 8,000 years ago. And this is one from today. Notice anything? The images looked almost identical. They're the same, Hana said. Oh, you've made small improvements. Better efficiency here, more weapons there. But the fundamental design hasn't changed in millennia. Why would we change perfection? Vrath asked coldly. Because perfection is a lie, Minho said. Nothing is perfect. Everything can be improved unless... He paused dramatically. Unless you've forgotten how to improve. Unless you've become so comfortable in your empire that you've stopped trying. Careful, human. The Kryn military commander, Enforcer Kryn, growled from his platform. You insult the greatest civilization the galaxy has ever known. I'm stating facts, Minho said. Your empire is built on ancient technology and fear. You take tribute from younger species, including their innovations, but you don't create anything new yourselves. You're parasites pretending to be protectors. The chamber exploded again. Guards moved toward Minho and Hana, but Vrath raised a hand to stop them. You dare to speak such lies before the full council? Vrath asked dangerously. They're not lies, Hana said. We've analyzed every piece of data available. Your weapons are powerful but predictable. Your tactics haven't evolved in centuries. You win through overwhelming force, but you've never needed to be creative, to adapt, to truly innovate. And humanity has? Vrath's tone was mocking. You who have barely left your own star system? Yes, Minho said firmly. In 300 years, we went from basic flight to faster-than-light travel. In 100 years, we went from divided nations constantly at war to a united planetary government. We've faced extinction dozens of times, from ourselves, from nature, from our own mistakes. And every time we adapted, we learned. We survived. Pretty words, Kryn said. But words don't stop plasma weapons. When our fleet arrives at your planet, your words will burn with your cities. Will they? Minho asked. Are you so certain? You have 200 ships, Vrath said. We have thousands. The mathematics are simple even for a primitive species. Mathematics assumes both sides play by the same rules, Hana said. But we don't. Minho could see confusion spreading through the council. This wasn't how condemned species behaved. They were supposed to beg, to plead for mercy, to offer last-minute compromises. They weren't supposed to stand confident and defiant. You're bluffing, Vrath said. You hope to intimidate us with bravado. It won't work. There's one way to find out, Minho said. Send your fleet. Attack Earth. See what happens when you threaten a species that has never stopped learning, never stopped adapting, never stopped fighting for survival. We will, Vrath promised, and your planet will become another cautionary tale. Another extinct species that chose pride over survival. Maybe, Minho agreed. Or maybe we'll become the first species in 12,000 years to make you afraid. Kryn laughed. Afraid of you? The council fears nothing. Everyone fears something, Hana said quietly. The question is whether you've been comfortable so long that you've forgotten what fear feels like. Wrath's mandibles clicked rapidly. Arrest them. Hold them here until Earth falls. I want them to watch their planet burn. Guards swarmed forward, grabbing Minho and Hana. They didn't resist. This was expected. One more thing, Minho said as they dragged him toward the exit. Every species watching this broadcast, all you tributary states who've paid tribute for centuries, ask yourselves something. If humanity can say no, why can't you? Silence him! Wrath commanded, but it was too late. The words were out, broadcast across the galaxy. In the viewing screens, Minho could see reactions from 1,000 different worlds. Shock, interest, and on some faces, something that looked like hope. They threw Minho and Hana into a detention cell deep in the station. The moment the door sealed, Minho activated a small device hidden in his uniform. Earth, this is Minho. Message delivered. Response was as expected. Confirmed, came Admiral Taeyang's voice through the encrypted channel. Council fleet is mobilizing. 500 warships heading toward Sol system. They'll arrive in 48 hours. Then I guess we'll see if Dr. Suji's innovations work, Minho said. We'd better. Taeyang replied grimly. Because if they don't, humanity dies in 2 days. Minho looked at Hana. She was smiling despite everything. What? He asked. Did you see their faces? She said. They were confused. Scared even, just for a moment. We made them uncertain. Uncertainty isn't victory. No. Hana agreed. But it's a start. They thought they knew everything. They thought the outcome was predetermined. We just proved them wrong about that. Now we have to prove them wrong about everything else. Minho nodded. On Earth, he knew, the defense preparations were entering their final phase. Suji and her team had worked miracles in 30 days, developing technologies that shouldn't exist, that pushed human science to its breaking point. But would it be enough? In 48 hours, the Galactic Council's armada would reach Earth. 500 warships against humanity's tiny fleet. By every logical calculation, Earth would fall quickly, but humanity had never been good at accepting logical defeat. They had a bad habit of surviving impossible situations, of finding ways to win when winning should be impossible. The galaxy was about to learn that lesson. The Council thought they were sending a fleet to crush a rebellion. What they were actually doing was waking up something that had been sleeping in the Sol system, a species that had clawed its way to the top of its planet's food chain through sheer stubborn determination. A species that saw impossible odds not as a reason to surrender, but as a challenge to overcome. Earth's answer was no. Now Earth had to make that answer stick. In 48 hours, the battle would begin, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Admiral Taeyang stood on the bridge of the EDF flagship Horizon, watching the tactical display with a calmness he didn't feel. 500 red dots approached Earth's solar system, 500 Council warships, each carrying enough firepower to destroy a city. Facing them were 200 blue dots, Earth's entire fleet. Fleet reports ready, Lieutenant Yejun said from the tactical station. He was young, barely 25, but he had the kind of mind that could track 1,000 variables at once. All ships have received the evolution protocol. Suji's packages are armed and ready. Good, Taeyang said. How long until they reach the outer marker? 15 minutes. On Earth below, Director Seojin coordinated the planetary defenses. Every orbital platform was armed. Every ground-based weapon was ready. But everyone knew those defenses wouldn't matter if the fleet failed. The Council would just bombard Earth from orbit until nothing lived. Sir, Yejun said. Incoming communication from the Council fleet. Their commander wants to speak with you. Put it through. The screen flickered, showing Enforcer Kryn. His reptilian face was smug, confident. He thought he had already won. Admiral Taeyang, Kryn said, I am required to offer you one final chance to surrender. Stand down your fleet. Accept tribute status. Your people will be spared. And if we refuse? Taeyang asked. Then your species ends today, Kryn said simply. We will burn your planet until nothing remains but ash and memory. Your choice is simple. Live as tributaries or die as fools. Taeyang smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. Enforcer, you've ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. You've crushed every species that stood against you. You think you know how this battle will go? I don't think. I know, Kryn said. You have 200 ships. I have 500. This isn't a battle. It's an execution. That's what makes this interesting, Taiyang said. You see, humanity has a saying. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. You're about to get punched in the face, Enforcer. Let's see how good your plan is after that. He cut the communication before Kryn could respond. All ships, Taiyang broadcast on the fleet channel. Remember your training. The Council expects us to fight like they do. Formation battles, heavy weapons, predictable tactics. Don't give them what they expect. Give them chaos. Give them confusion. Give them fear, aye sir, came the responses from 200 captains. Yejun, Taiyang said quietly, activate the ghosts. Ghosts active, Yejun confirmed. On the tactical display, the 200 blue dots suddenly became 600. The Council fleet would see what appeared to be a massive reinforcement, ships that didn't actually exist. Just quantum projections and sensor manipulation. Sir, Council fleet is breaking formation, Yejun reported. They're confused. They're not sure which targets are real. Good, let them wonder. Deploy the swarm. From Earth's ships, thousands of tiny objects launched. They looked like missiles, but they weren't. They were Suji's masterpiece. Nanite clouds, each particle smaller than a grain of sand, but connected through quantum entanglement. The Council's sensors would barely detect them. The Council fleet opened fire. Plasma weapons, energy beams, and missiles filled the space between the fleets. It was a devastating barrage that would have destroyed any conventional fleet. But Earth ships weren't where the Council thought they were. The ghost projections took the hits, exploding in spectacular fashion that meant nothing. The real ships, using quantum shift drives that Suji's team had developed, flickered in and out of normal space, dodging with microsecond precision. Impossible. Kryn's voice came through, no longer smug. They're moving too fast. Our targeting systems can't lock on. First punch delivered, Taiyang said with satisfaction. Engage at will. All ships, scatter pattern Omega. Earth's fleet exploded into motion. No formations, no predictable patterns. Each ship moved independently, using AI-assisted navigation that adjusted thousands of times per second. They were like a school of fish facing a shark, everywhere and nowhere at once. The Council ships tried to adapt, but they were designed for formation warfare. Their tactics were ancient, unchanging. They expected enemies to stand and trade fire. They didn't know how to fight ghosts. Swarm is reaching the enemy fleet, Yejun reported. The nanite clouds enveloped the first Council ships. To the eye, nothing seemed to happen. Then the ships started to come apart. Not exploding, dissolving. The nanites were programmed to dismantle the molecular bonds in the ships' hulls. In minutes, massive warships became clouds of component atoms. By the void, someone whispered on the bridge. 10 Council ships disintegrated. Then 20. Then 50. The rest tried to flee, but the nanite swarms were already among them, invisible and unstoppable. Council fleet is panicking, Yejun said. They're firing on each other, trying to hit the swarms. Their formation is completely broken. Deploy Phase 2, Taiyang ordered. Show them what else we've learned. Earth ships stopped dodging and went on the offensive. But they didn't use conventional weapons. They used directed energy beams that phased through shields, graviton pulses that crushed ships from the inside, and quantum torpedoes that existed in multiple states until they hit their target. Every weapon was something the Council had never seen before. Every tactic was unpredictable. Earth was fighting a war 300 years ahead of what the Council expected. Sir, we've destroyed 200 enemy ships, Yejun reported. His voice was awed. Only 3 of ours damaged, none destroyed. Maintain pressure, Taiyang said. Don't let them regroup. But the Council fleet was already breaking. Ships that had come to execute Earth were now fleeing in terror. They had never faced an enemy like this, an enemy that learned and adapted, that innovated in real time, that refused to fight by the old rules. Admiral, Yejun shouted suddenly. New contacts! 20 Council dreadnoughts just entered the system. They must have been held in reserve. The tactical display updated. 20 massive ships, each 3 times larger than anything else in the battle. These were the Council's elite forces, their oldest and most powerful vessels. Well, Taiyang said, I suppose we needed to test the big surprise eventually. Dr. Suji, are you ready? Ready, came Suji's voice from Earth. Singularity device is charged. Wait, Yejun said, staring at his screens. Sir, those dreadnoughts. They're 10,000 years old. Same designs we saw in the historical records. They haven't updated them at all. Of course they haven't, Taiyang said. Why would they? These ships have crushed every rebellion for millennia. They've never needed to improve. He smiled grimly. Until now. Suji, fire when ready. From Earth's moon, hidden in a crater, a weapon activated. It wasn't a weapon that destroyed directly. It was something more subtle, more terrifying. A controlled micro-singularity opened in space, creating a gravitational anomaly. But instead of pulling things in, it pushed them away in a specific direction, right at the dreadnoughts. And what it pushed was the fabric of space itself. The 20 dreadnoughts suddenly found themselves moving backward at impossible speeds, dragged away from the battle by warped space. They tried to resist, but their engines couldn't fight the fundamental forces of the universe. Dreadnoughts are being ejected from the system, Yejun reported in disbelief. They'll be light years away in minutes. The remaining Council fleet saw their most powerful ships vanish into the distance. The last of their confidence broke. Ships that had come to conquer Earth now only wanted to escape. Open a channel to Enforcer Kryn, Taeyang ordered. Kryn's face appeared on screen. He looked terrified. His ship was surrounded by nanite clouds, slowly dissolving around him. This is Admiral Taeyang of the Earth Defense Force. I believe you said this wasn't a battle, just an execution. Were you right about that, Enforcer? What are you? Kryn whispered. We're human, Taeyang said simply. We're a species that spent 300 years fighting ourselves, learning, adapting, innovating because we had to. You spent 12,000 years ruling without challenge. You forgot how to evolve. You forgot how to be afraid. Consider this a reminder. You've won, Kryn said. Call off your weapons, please. Transmit your surrender to the entire galaxy, Taeyang said. Let every tributary species hear you. Let them know that Earth defeated the Council fleet. Kryn hesitated for only a moment, then nodded. On channels across the galaxy, his message broadcast. This is Enforcer Kryn of the Galactic Council. Our fleet has been defeated by Earth forces. We surrender. The words echoed across 1,000 worlds. Species that had paid tribute for centuries heard the impossible. The Council had lost. Swarm, deactivate, Taeyang ordered. The nanite clouds went dormant. The dissolving ship stabilized, though hundreds were already destroyed beyond repair. Sir, what about the dreadnoughts? Yejun asked. Let them drift, Taeyang said. They'll figure out how to get back eventually. Consider it a timeout to think about their choices. On the bridge, the crew was celebrating. They had done the impossible. 200 ships had defeated 520 more. Earth had beaten an empire that had ruled the galaxy for 12,000 years. But Taeyang didn't celebrate yet. Contact the Council station. Tell them we want to speak with High Counselor Vrath, and tell them to release Captain Minho and Dr. Hana immediately. What do we tell the Council, sir? Yejun asked. The Council chamber looked different now. The same platforms, the same lights, but the atmosphere had changed completely. High Counselor Vrath sat on his throne, but he no longer looked commanding. He looked old, uncertain, and perhaps for the first time in his long life, afraid. President Jisoo walked into the chamber with confidence. She was flanked by Minho and Hana, freshly released from detention, and followed by Admiral Taeyang, Director Seojin, and Dr. Suji. Earth's delegation was small, but every species in the galaxy was watching this meeting. 23 tributary species had already stopped sending tribute payments. The galaxy was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. President Jisoo, Vrath said. His voice was carefully neutral. You have come to negotiate terms. No, Jisoo said simply. We've come to dictate terms. You tried to conquer us. You failed. Now you'll listen to our requirements. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Several counselors looked outraged, but none of them spoke. The memory of their destroyed fleet was too fresh. You defeated one fleet, a counselor said. A floating species with tentacles that glowed softly. The Council has resources across the entire galaxy. If we united our full might against you, you'd lose, Suji interrupted calmly. In the time it would take you to gather a new fleet, we'd develop 3 more generations of weapons technology. You evolve on a timescale of centuries. We evolve in years, in months even. You can't win a long war against us because we improve faster than you can adapt. She's right, Seojun added. Your technology is impressive but static. Ours is primitive but advancing exponentially. Every day that passes, the gap between us closes. In 10 years, we'll match you. In 20, we'll surpass you. So what do you want? Vrath asked. To destroy the Council? To take our place as the rulers of the galaxy? No, Jisoo said firmly. We want the opposite. We want to end the tribute system entirely. The chamber erupted. Dozens of species began shouting at once. The idea was too radical, too impossible. The tribute system had existed for 12,000 years. It was the foundation of galactic civilization. Silence, Wrath commanded. The chamber quieted. President Jisoo, you don't understand what you're proposing. The tribute system maintains order. Without it, there would be chaos. There would be freedom, Minho said. And yes, maybe some chaos at first. But free species innovate, they grow. They contribute not because they're forced to, but because they choose to. The Council protects the galaxy, another counselor argued. Without tribute to fund our fleets, who would maintain peace? Maybe peace doesn't need to be maintained by threat of destruction, Hana suggested. Maybe peace can be built through cooperation instead of domination, Yuna stepped forward. As Earth's diplomat, she had prepared for this moment. Here are Earth's terms. First, the tribute system ends immediately. All species are released from their obligations. Second, the Council transforms from a ruling empire into a cooperative alliance. Species join by choice, not by force. Third, Taeyang continued, any species that wishes to remain part of the alliance contributes what they can, not what they're ordered to give. Trade becomes mutual benefit, not extraction. Fourth, Seojin said, Earth will share our technology and our methods of innovation with any species that wants them. We'll teach you how we advance so quickly, how we adapt, how we create. And finally, Jisoo said, we establish a new governing principle. No species has the right to rule another. Cooperation, not domination. Mutual aid, not tribute. Freedom, not slavery. The chamber was silent. Every counselor was processing what they had just heard. It wasn't just a change to the system. It was the end of the system itself. And if we refuse? Wrath asked quietly. Then Earth withdraws from galactic contact, Jisoo said. We seal our borders. We focus on our own development. And in 20 years, when we're the most advanced species in the galaxy, we come back and force these changes anyway. But it will be harder then. More violent, more destructive. This way is peaceful. Your choice. Wrath's mandibles clicked slowly. He looked around at the other counselors. Many looked angry, but more looked thoughtful. Some even looked relieved. You said 23 species have already stopped sending tribute, Wrath said. What if more join them? What if the council fractures completely? Then you'll see what happens when species work together by choice instead of by force, Suji said. You might be surprised. Free people build better things than enslaved ones. A small counselor in the corner stood up. She was from a species that looked almost rabbit-like, with soft fur and large eyes. I am Counselor Bora of the Mission people. We have paid tribute for 3,000 years, and I support Earth's proposal. Another counselor stood. Counselor Doyen of the Keth, we also support this change. One by one, counselors stood. Not all of them. Some remained seated, clinging to the old ways. But more than half rose in support. Wrath looked around the chamber. His empire was crumbling, not from force, but from the simple realization that it didn't have to exist. That there was another way. If we accept these terms, Wrath said slowly, what happens to the council? To our authority? You become advisors instead of rulers, Jisoo said. You have 12,000 years of experience managing galactic affairs. That knowledge is valuable, but you use it to guide, not to command. You serve the galaxy instead of ruling it. And our fleets, our military power, becomes a defense force, not a conquest force, Taeyang said. You protect against external threats, not against internal dissent. And Earth will help. Our innovations can make your ships better, stronger. We just won't use them to enslave anyone. Wrath was quiet for a long moment. Then slowly, the ancient High Counselor stood up. You have won your war, President Jisoo. Not just the battle in your solar system, but the war of ideas. You've shown us that an empire built on fear is weaker than an alliance built on respect. He looked around the chamber. I propose we accept Earth's terms. All those in favor? 32 hands, tentacles, wings, and other appendages rose. More than 2/3 of the council. Then it is decided, Wrath said. The Galactic Council will transform. The tribute system ends today. We begin building something new, a true alliance of free species. The chamber erupted again, but this time with cheers. On countless worlds watching the broadcast, people celebrated. Freedom had seemed impossible yesterday. Today it was real. But one counselor remained seated, a hulking species with armored plating. And what if some of us disagree? What if we believe the old ways were better? Then you're free to leave the Alliance, Jisoo said. That's what freedom means. You can choose your own path. But you can't force others to follow it. The counselor considered this, then slowly nodded and sat back down. Over the next hours, details were worked out. The transition wouldn't be instant. 12,000 years of infrastructure couldn't change overnight. But the framework was set. Within a year, the galaxy would look completely different. As the meeting ended, Vrath approached Jisoo privately. I have ruled for 600 years, the old counselor said quietly. I have seen species rise and fall, but I have never seen anything like your people. We're not special, Jisoo said. We're just young enough to remember what it's like to struggle, to fight for survival. You forgot that. You became comfortable. Perhaps, Vrath agreed. But there is something else. When we threatened you, you didn't just fight for survival. You fought for a principle. You risked everything for the simple idea that you should be free. That kind of determination. It's rare. It shouldn't be, Jisoo said. Every species deserves freedom. Every person deserves the right to choose their own destiny. That's not a human idea. It's a universal one. You just forgot it. Vrath nodded slowly. We did. Thank you for reminding us. Even if you did it by destroying half our fleet. Jisoo smiled slightly. We tried asking nicely first. You said no. And you said no back. One word that changed the galaxy. Vrath's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. I hope we learn from this. I hope we remember that evolution isn't just biological. It's cultural, social, philosophical. You evolved past us in the ways that truly matter. Later, back on their ship heading to Earth, the delegation finally relaxed. They had done it. They had changed the galaxy. I still can't believe it worked, Hana said. We bluffed so hard. It wasn't a bluff, Suji said, looking up from her tablet where she was already designing the next generation of innovations. We would have kept improving until we could beat them. We just convinced them it would be faster than it actually would have been. Smart, Seojin said. Let them think we're advancing even faster than we are. Keeps them cautious. Minho looked at Earth through the window, that beautiful blue marble in the distance. Do you think the alliance will work? Or will it fall apart once we're not watching? It might fall apart, Jisoo admitted. Freedom is messy. Cooperation is hard. Some species will struggle. Some might even go to war with each other without the council keeping them in line. Then why do it? Yuna asked. Because the alternative is worse, Jisoo said. An empire built on fear and force might look stable, but it's rotting from within. At least in freedom, species can grow, can learn, can actually evolve instead of stagnating. Plus, Taeyang added with a grin, if everything does fall apart, we'll be ready. We'll have new technologies, new ships, new surprises.